And so now we've reached what could be best described as the end of an era. The Obama administration is winding down, and soon we will see the swearing in of the current president-elect, Donald Trump. For many people at this point, they feel that this is a time of grief and sorrow and sadness to see one of the most prolific, if not controversial, presidents in our history end his 2 terms and pass the guard on to someone who many are still not quite sure where they stand with him. And while I understand that feeling, I can't help but also breathe a sigh of relief at the fact that President Barack Obama is finally leaving office. And I say good riddance. Like many of you, I remember how it all started back in 2008 during the primaries, when it seemed like the impossible had happened. A young African American senator practically came up out of nowhere and began winning the primaries to secure the nomination for President of the United States. Now, I can't lie. I, at first, did not believe that this was going to even come to fruition. At best, I thought it was just a fluke. But I watched as Barack Obama's momentum increased at a steady pace and showed no signs of slowing down. And then, as if it was a dream for quite a few of us, myself included, came the time for voting. To choose between John McCain or Barack Obama. Many of us watched our TVs, watching as the votes came in, waiting to see what was going to happen. How was the outcome? I can remember talking to some of my relatives, my older relatives, uncles and aunts. And some of them felt like he wasn't going to win. They felt like the fix would come in some kind of way and Barack Obama would lose. But as those votes tallied in and we watched, before the night was over, came the official word. Barack Obama, the new president of the United States of America. And there was a lot of celebration that entire week. The transition, changing of the guard from what America had pretty much been used to, older white men being in charge, to the face of this young, optimistic African American as president of the free world. Now, of course, there were some bumpy moments. The transition wasn't completely smooth. But I can remember watching as President Obama did his best with what he had to live up to the promises that he'd made on his campaign trail. Now, of course, anyone who knows enough about politics, they understand that campaign promises sound good on the trail, but They're often a lot harder to enact. But again, he did the best that he could with what he had. And for me, that was pretty much all I could ask of him. But to others who had, as they say, drunk the Kool-Aid, it wasn't enough. They felt like he'd let them down, or he wasn't doing enough. They felt that the hope and change that he rode on his way into the White House had failed to show up or even make an impact. And I can understand why a lot of people felt that way. But a lot of people didn't see what I saw, because I never expected the entire world to turn around because he'd been elected as president. But what I did expect to see was the difference, the confirmation that his victory actually represented. And a lot of people, they didn't see that. They missed that. Because what made his win so great for me as an African American man was the fact that that was the confirmation that there was really nothing holding African Americans back. Nothing holding us back that we couldn't overcome. Now, of course, I'm pretty sure there are people who say he was hand chosen. He had help. It wasn't a fluke. And to them I say much of nothing, because I don't really want to debate with you about it. Argue in the comment section. But no, it represented the confirmation that there was no obstacle that African Americans could not overcome. This man, an African American, he had become president of the United States of America. And I know a lot of people like to bring up the fact that his mother's white and his father's black, so he's not 100% African American. I don't care. And guess what? Most people don't care. There are a lot of mixed children out there, African American with 50% African American in one, on one side, and then white American on the other. Guess what? When people see them, they don't think, oh, I'll put it like this. When most people see them, they don't think, oh, half white, half black. No, they just think black, African American. So guess what? African American. Sue me if you don't like it. I don't have anything to give you anyway. No, but that's what he represented. You couldn't come to me anymore and talk about the man was holding people down. I don't know. If the man was really holding people down, he just did a really shitty job and let this happen on his watch. But time went on, and as most fairy tales and romances go, a lot of people began to fall out of love with President Obama. They started saying, oh, he's just another politician. Oh, he's a puppet. He has no real power. The people that say he has no real power, I always find that interesting, because it makes me realize that they probably didn't pay a lot of attention in civics class, not understanding that the entire government is based on checks and balances. I'm not going to sit here and bother explaining that. You could go Google it yourself. Put that smartphone to use doing something other than watching World Star videos for a change. But they became disillusioned with the man and felt like he was a sellout. Again, I don't understand how they thought that. But, different strokes for different folks, as they say. I watched it as a lot of African Americans cursed his name, talked bad about him, put him down as if he had basically gone in and then shitted on the people that had elected him, not realizing that he did anything but that. Again, he can only do so much, even as the president. The government itself works because it's a group of people that have to come together to agree on decisions and choices that are made in order to get things rolling. And there's only so much that he can do as one man. I watched as the jokes came in. If not talking about him, they talk about his wife, Michelle, who basically had just come out to prove that she was behind her man 120%. And you couldn't help but like that. You couldn't help but admire that. That was very respectful. I know a lot of people still like to say hashtag relationship goals when they look at those couple pictures of the Obamas. But time kept going on, and I kept seeing more and more African Americans just talking a lot of shit about this guy. And I just couldn't help but just feel frustrated for the man, because it felt like nothing was good enough. But as he rolled into his second term, I came to an understanding that it wasn't so much that nothing's ever good enough, but it's just most people just don't understand. They don't understand how a lot of things work. They think it's a lot simpler than what it really is. Or they think things are a lot more complicated than they really are. People can only understand things from where they have understanding. They can only meet someone from the level that they're already on. In order to better understand that person, a lot of times they have to rise up to that level. And myself included, a lot of us don't feel like rising up to that level to get that understanding. Human flaw, what can we say? More and more hate, disregard for President Obama came through the years. And now, as we reach the close of his presidency, we now find ourselves in a unique position. For we're about to begin the reign of Donald Trump, who to a lot of Americans is still rather hard to pin down. But again, only time will tell. I know this much is going to be a very interesting ride. But I look back on the 2 terms that President Barack Obama has served this country and served our people. And I'm glad that he's getting out of office now. I'm glad because he survived. No nut with a gun took him out of office, murdering him in cold blood. I'm glad that he's getting out of office because now he gets to relax and reflect on things. Take it easy. Write a few books. Do some speaking engagements. Pretty much be comfortable. I feel the man has earned it. And of course, as time goes on, the writers of history will tell the tale and shape the story. But I, for one, am glad that Barack Obama is leaving office, and I say good riddance. Good riddance to the unfair criticism. Good riddance to the naysayers. Good riddance to those who put this man on a pedestal that he never even claimed he was on, seeing him as a savior of some kind when he never carried himself or even led others to believe that. Good riddance to the unfair criticism. And to President Barack Obama, I want to say thank you for proving without a shadow of a doubt that the only thing that's holding the majority of African Americans away from our own greatness as individuals is mostly ourselves.